Carve away the centre part of the two mast battens fitted to one side of the mast to create notches 5 mm long and 1.5 mm deep as shown. Take one of the two shallow U-shaped guides and fit it into the slot between the battens as shown. Take the 0.8mm brown thread supplied in stage 61, place a pencil against the opposite side of the top of the mast to act as a spacer, then turn the 3 loose loops of thread around the guide, going around the top of the mast and the pencil spacer. Take the 7mm triple block supplied in stage 61, tie a loop of 0.8mm brown thread around the seal knot and trim the ends. Tie the tail of the block that you attached in step 5 to the middle of the loops created in steps 3 and 4, leaving about 30mm free. Take the mast cap and drill 6.7mm holes to fit 6 brass eyes as shown. Cut the shanks of the eyes so they do not project from the wood and glue them in place with superglue. Now fit the two small blocks using the usual method. Make a mark in the centre of the cross-free arms, then make two marks 2.5mm on either side of it. This leaves a 5mm gap to fit the mast into. Glue the fore and the aft rails of the cross tree to the arms, making sure that the gap between them is 5mm. Lay the mast on the plan and mark the two lower marks. There is no need to mark the upper points at the mast yet, as they would be removed during tapering. Turn the mast slowly as you sand it evenly along the length. Check the taper at several points to ensure it is even. When the mast has an even taper with the correct diameters all the way along it, mark with square section at the top of the mast and cut the mast to the correct length. The 70mm at the base of the mast needs to be an octagonal shape, and by 40mm at the top needs to be a square. Mark the 8 corners of the octagon using the centre finder on the plan, then using a straight plank to extend lines to the top of the mast, making sure that the faces of the square are parallel to the faces of the octagonal bottom. Using a sharp knife, carve the top of the mast square. Check that the cross trees slide over the square section. Place the mast on the plan and mark the bottom of the cross tree support. Carve an octagonal base for the cross tree support. Four pieces of 2x3mm wood to fit the octagon, chamfer the edges, glue them in place and allow them to dry. Now chamfer and cut 4 more lengths of 2x3mm wood to fit in the gaps, glue them in place and allow them to dry. Use an emery board or a nail file to taper the mast support. Use the plan as a guide to get the correct shape. Use the plan to mark the 3 holes near the bottom. Glue the mast cap in position and make sure it is straight and square. Also make sure that the round hole is directly above the square hole in the top. Measure the distance from the main top cross tree. Now make the hand mast, a short pole that fits into this place. Cut the 3mm dowel 10mm shorter than the measurements in step 2. Then cut 2 pieces of 4x4mm wood, each 6mm long. Glue the parts together, ensuring that they are straight and allowed to dry. Cut a piece of brass wire 10 to 11mm long and file the ends square. Slide the top mast through the mast cap. Insert the brass wire into the lowest hole in the top mast. Then push the mast down until the brass wire sits on the cross trees and glue into place. Now glue the hand mast in place, making sure that the upper square end is in the centre of the projecting part of the mast cap and that the hand mast is parallel to the mast. Mark the bottom section of the mast where the octagonal section ends and the taper starts. Mark the 8 corners of the octagon using the centre finder on the mast plans and extend the lines as shown in stage 63 of your instructions. Taper the mast using the method shown in stage 62 until you get a smooth taper with the mast measuring 5.5mm diameter at the position indicated in your plan. Mark the position of the upper 6 holes on the second line drawn in steps 5 and 6 of your instructions. Turn the mast 90 degrees and mark the lower holes on the first line from step 5. Then drill all 8 holes with a 1.5mm drill, ensuring you keep the drill upright. Place the mast against the plan again and mark the position of the octagonal hounds just below the step. Using the same technique described in stage 63, carve an octagonal section in the mast, then add strips of wood to the hounds and file them to shape. Take the smaller mast cap supplied with stage 63 and ensure that the top gallant and top mast fit the round and square holes. Then drill the holes to add the 4 brass eyes as shown, noting that the 2 eyes beside the round hole are angled outward. Take the wooden bead supplied with stage 63 and sand and cut a flat on it and then glue it to the top of the pole mast. Glue together the 3 parts of the rope guide provided in stage 62, sand the assembly smooth and file 3 shallow parallel grooves across the length of the top. Stain or paint the guide walnut or paint it black and glue it to the lower mast cap. Take the 4 heart blocks supplied with stages 62 and 63 and tie lengths of thick brown thread around them, then tie them to the lower mast at the 4 points marked on the plans. Continue with steps 6 to 11 of page 363 to complete the top mast.